But right now we've got the Super Rugby Pacific trophy in studio with us. Who's going to take this home this year?
Well,
Who's
it's
in the
painted
box
blue
seat?
already, isn't it? Is it blue for a reason?
Well, they haven't won it so far, JK.
I know this is our year.
Well, no one's won it. There's only one team that's won it. All we know is that they're not going to win it this year.
And imagine saying that at the start of the season, that 4 New Zealand teams have made the playoffs and not the Crusaders.
Let's not talk about the start of the season. A lot has changed since then.
You remember Mills when he picked them in show one?
Hey, wait, but he hasn't picked anyone all season, so you don't count. You didn't pick anyone to win the title.
My team, both of the teams that I picked are in the quarterfinals, right? The Chiefs and the Blues. They're both in the quarterfinals.
Both of my teams. Both of my teams. Well, one of my teams is still in the fight as well. Don't forget about them.
It is looking more like of a Highlanders colour there, actually, I must admit.
Oh, I'm loving what you're saying. I'm loving what you're saying.
Just for one more week, anyway.
For one more week? OK.
Well, people are saying the Chiefs are flying under the radar, but are you saying the Highlanders have been?
Look, we got the result we wanted. We're going to Canberra to play the Brumbies because we've known how much we've struggled.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm not. The fact that we've struggled against New Zealand sides. We really have. Even you look on the weekend, you know, and when we played the Blues, we've just struggled to get the job done. So for us to build momentum and to find a way to, I suppose, elevate our game, our best chance was to probably go and play the Brumbies. But it's a big ask because the Brumbies are good. They've played some good rugby. It's going to be tough. But like I say, we're in a situation where we're going to have a new champion.
Did anyone at the start of the season pick the Hurricanes to finish top spot? No?
No, right?
No.
No.
They've been the big mover.
Yeah, they did. I mean, after the first 3 or so rounds, and we're like far out.
Come on. We're talking about 1 minute. We're talking about one play being the difference. We're talking about a bonus point. The difference between, if I was to say the best team, it's...
Are you not saying the Canes are the best team right now?
Well, they've finished on top of the table, but there's nothing between them and the Blues. We're talking about a bonus point try at the end of a game in the last round, which is defined whether or not the Blues are top.
Yeah.
And if I was to look at the two teams, even statistically, and particularly look at the Blues' defence and what they've done over the course of this season, it's a shame it let them down in the last 5 minutes of the game last night at Eden Park. But I think they're going to be incredibly tough to beat. And I don't think we should take for granted that the Hurricanes are going to go through unbeaten from here or have a home final. We shouldn't take for granted the Blues are going to go through. There's going to be some challenges for those top two teams.
I mean, at the beginning of the year, I did not think that it would get to the last 4 weeks and have this much excitement in terms of the ladder, everything else that was happening. But even last night, any other team, you know, they were dominated by the Blues. They would have just given up. But, you know, it got right down to that sort of bonus point and it made things interesting. The crowds have sort of come back. And so I wouldn't have thought at the beginning of the season, you know, 15 or even, 12 rounds in, that would have so much excitement in terms of this competition. Now you're leading into that, and how great of competition has it been?
And the conversation changed half time for the Rebels and Drua, right? You know, it was a close game, close contest, and all of a sudden the Drua pulled away, scored their 2 or 3 quick tries, and you sort of knew that game was gone, and then the conversation changed. In a few hours, it changed from who was going to finish top. You know, I think that the Hurricanes have done a fantastic job. I really, really do. I really like where they've got to. I always thought this season would come down to how their 10 and 15 performed. And Cameron and Love have done a great job. They really, really have him driving that team and complemented by when you lose someone like Cam Roigard, you're wondering whether or not you're going to have that type of influence at halfback. TJ has been fantastic. So they're right there. But what I'm saying is we're talking about the margins between those teams. To me, there's not much.
Now, the Crusaders CEO Colin Mansbridge has come out today and they are undertaking their own external review on the season that has gone horribly wrong for the Crusaders. They finished 9th out of 12 teams and they won 4 of their 14 games. At the start of the season, no one thought that this was going to happen, JK. So while they're doing their own review, we're going to do a breakdown review on their season.
I'm not worried at all about the Crusaders. I think it would have been arrogant of anyone to think of the amount of people that they lost, including their coach, to think that they were going to have a season. Put that in with Cody Taylor going, injuries to their best player in and out for a season. But they have been the envy of all of the other franchises for a long, long time with their development system. They'll be fine next year, but for me, it was not a bad thing to happen. It won't be bad for them to face the adversity that most of us have faced. They just haven't faced it for 20 years.
So are you calling me arrogant for picking them to win the title? Is that what you're saying?
Totally.
Oh, yeah. Is that what you were just slipping it in there? You're just slipping it in there.
I wasn't actually naming you, but I was referring to you. Yeah, look, I think...
no one saw this playing out the way it played out, particularly early on in the competition. Look, there's no doubt they'd lost some influential players. I was looking at some guys maybe being fit and healthy for a significant part of the season. So when you lose a Fergus Burke for the majority of the year, they're starting first 5-8 to replace Richie Mo'unga. That's really difficult. Then Scott Barrett picks up an injury. Tamaiti Williams loses his hamstring in the very first game. Cody Taylor doesn't come back until the last month. And all of these important pieces of the puzzle led to the fact that they've ultimately missed out by one performance. Probably would have been enough. One more win.
But as you just said, the Crusaders will be a different team next year when they've got Will Jordan and Cody Taylor and all of these guys back from the start of the season. It won't be the same team that he's working with.
This is why it's really topical, because we're not talking about any team, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the Crusaders. You know, the most successful Super Rugby franchise, possibly even the professional franchise, you know, in New Zealand or globally. But they have standards, right? And they've obviously worked out the fact, hey, we'll get to the end, and a lot of things happen along the way. They lost key players, but also then they lost another person that wasn't, you know, filling that role. David Havili was not. You talk about Fergus Burke coming back, then they had the youngsters come in. So obviously you feel for Rob Penny, because you have plans if some of that sort of happened, but they all kind of happen at the same time. And then when you're trying to find results, meaning success, they just couldn't get into a rhythm. But they are still a quality side. I think the review is more so, I mean, if anything, the positive is they've now gone through this.
Yeah.
They haven't gone through this stuff. Like, the Blues have done it for how many years? Probably Chiefs at the same time. Hurricanes probably don't get it as much, but for the very, very first time, the Crusaders have got a bit of stick. And the way they sort of dealt with
They'll probably come back and win it
that'll be
next
more
year.
what they'll be looking at.
Let's take a look at the current crops, the ones that are in the conversation for the All Black squad that'll be named on the Breakdown special straight after the Monday after the Super Rugby final. Here's the names that we've got down on the sheet. Ricky Riccitelli, Samisoni Tokiaho, Asafo Aumua, and just look at his stats. In 5 games, 6.2 metres per carry and 96% tackle completion. Cody Taylor, we know what he's done over the last month. George Bell was in the All Blacks conversation last year, we mustn't forget. Who's the most fiery out of these? Who's the new Dane Coles that's also got the mouth on it? You need that, don't you?
I know who it is. It's Cody Taylor. 100%. If you see how competitive he is and leading this Crusaders when he came back, there's a fire in his belly to the point where he sees red mists a little so often. But look, I think Cody's a lay down. This is the guy who's the number one hooker. Look, he's came back. He had a fantastic season last year. It's great to see him come back, clearly refreshed and playing well, Mills.
Yeah, 100%. And I know his leadership qualities has been discussed. You know, he brings that too. He's very much a leader. I like the way he's come back. He's fresh. You know, what he sort of adds is presence also, especially with this new sort of lock sort of coming through. You know, he's going to be invaluable for the All Blacks. And
JK, you've slipped in a Blues player here, Ricky Riccitelli. Maybe a surprise for some, but he's impressed you this year. Yeah,
look, he has. I think he's this game that the Blues are playing have really suited him. I mean, his yardage won't be too big because he's at the back of the maul there. Tackle completion's really good. I think really what we're looking at is probably Cody, Asafo and Samisoni. Samisoni's probably had a season...
I wouldn't let you down. Sometimes you need a guy who won't let you down.
Yeah, I agree with
that. And that's what Ricky Riccitelli has done this year.
I think that the person under the most pressure is Samisoni. You know, outstanding for a couple of years, hasn't been making the starting lineup a wee bit. Like, looks like he's just having one of those flat seasons, but like some players have in their second or third season.
Can I ask you a question, though, around how teams use players?
Yeah.
And the Hurricanes use Asafo Aumua quite a bit out on the edges. So all of a sudden he's in the situation where he's the second last carrier or he's getting it with an opportunity to carry. Sometimes they can be a little bit misleading, a 6.2 metre carry. Well, it's not all done through the middle of the park with them. He's got an ability to get it on the edge, and we saw, you know, in Mills' moments, his ability to gas it. And this is the sort of thing that he's got a skill set, he's explosive. The question marks will be around. You have to hit your spots at line outs.
Yeah. Can I just ask? Can I just put something out there? Let's just pretend that I know something about this, which is an absolute lie. But I'm pretty sure that Jason Ryan will be looking at 2 things first: your scrumming ability and your ability to throw the dart. After that, everything would be a bit of a bonus. If you can bring all those things like Cody Taylor, you're in. But I think with Asafo Aumua, he needs to really sort his darts. under pressure. I think Samasone is not... I mean, we know Samasone now, if you're marking him, you're going to get a hit on. So he's not making those breaks that he used to before. So it'll come down to scrums, who's the best scrummager and who's the best thrower of darts, right?
Darts, we're not talking about literally darts. We're talking about line-out throws. We're talking not darts. We're talking about line-out throws. I mean, I know that, but I look at that.
Samasone Taukei'aho, though, JK, 93% line-out accuracy. So you say he's having a quiet season. He's the best at throwing them.
Who am I talking about?
Samasone. His line-out accuracy.
Samasone, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, if you look at a Safo or more, if you look at his line-out accuracy, it's at 84. So if you're a forward coach, what are you looking at? You're going, well, OK, we know a Safo, but Ricky's only at 88. It's close enough. You know, you're looking at Cody at 87, 93. I would say the All Blacks would be looking for somewhere around the 90s like they wouldn't a kicker, wouldn't
Absolutely. No doubt about that. The one thing I would say is, though, when Tyrell Lomax and Asafa Amu were together for the Hurricanes forward pack, their scrum was on fire.
Yeah.
So I think maybe he's made some steps up there, but you're 100% right. I mean, Chris and Ryan will be looking at a number of things.
I love that list. The best thing I love about that list is the variety. The variety in terms of what they can actually add. Yes, you've got to get the set piece right, but, you know, Samasone brings something to another power game, or more, a little bit wider. Cody Taylor brings a little bit of both. I love the sort of the options they've sort of got there in terms of picking those, well, possibly three hookers.
Say no more. And George Bell, not part of the conversation at this point after the season the Crusaders have had, even though he was a part of it last year. Surely it's someone that they've headhunted for future honours.
Yeah, look, sometimes, like, with the dark arts and all that sort of stuff, you know, someone like him would get in, and because Jason Ryan would say, well, he does this, you know, he puts pressure on the tight head or something random like that.
There's a big future for this kid.
Yeah.
It really is. What's the? I mean, there's, you know, right now, does he look as though he's ready for that next step up? Even physically, I'm not 100% sure. You know, in terms of straight size. Once again, there's an athleticism. We saw what Dane Coles does, but I still like the kid. I like what he plays. Just at the moment, I think there's probably in the position some guys who are just a little bit more of experienced and been there and done that. But you say that's a great list for us to have.
The dumbest thing they did in rugby, mate, was they got rid of wingers throwing the ball.
That is the best thing they ever.
That was awesome. That Grant Batty, I love that man. They took
I love that man.
A year before I started playing, they took the old.
He couldn't do it.
Bring it back, mate. The French do it occasionally.
Let's get out of this conversation as fast as we can.
JK's going to go.